What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today the project starts. The Resurrection E46. First thing that's gonna be doing, we are gonna be working on the subframe today. So we're gonna head to the back right now, and Josh, he's gonna let us know everything that's gonna be going on and the whole process of it.
We're starting today with a rear end reinforcement job. So we have to drop the rear end, rear suspension, everything to get to the mounting points that the subframe mounts to. We're gonna clean those up, get the undercoating off so we can weld them, put the reinforcement plates on, everything goes right back how it was. Okay, so this one is cracking here in the rear. It's gonna be a little hard to see, I haven't cleaned it up yet. There's some oil here, but there's a crack here and it starts and runs up the top of the frame there.
So if you see that little arch, that's an actual crack that's leading all the way up to over there, which is pretty damn bad.
Yeah, that's not a pretty one. There's also, not here, but in front, going to be a crack. Let's see which side. Oh yeah, it was here. And between the two control arm, you can see the crack there. Might be a little difficult with the camera, but once we get everything brought down.
There's a hairline crack, there's a little fracture that leads right up there.
Once we bring everything down, we're gonna have a real good view at every crack and be able to clean them up so we can get those welded before we put the plates on. All right, so we got the rear end down. We're looking at the cracks. They're not the prettiest in the world. They're kind of big. These are definitely gonna need a weld over them before putting the plates on. There's quite a few in this front right as well, the most common place for the crack to happen. Not what we're hoping to see. So it's all
cracked right here.
All the way
right
across,
here.
And then across the whole stud.
Dude, yeah, it's pretty damn bad.
Yeah.
So it's cracked right here, pretty much right through here, over here, my God.
Yeah, it's gonna need some welding.
And this one is huge.
Yeah, that one's fucking huge.
Nothing really on this one, huh?
Yeah, it's usually these two. The left rear, driver rear, and passenger front are the two common ones.
Why is that?
You can see. It's the way the diff bushing is. You only have a diff bushing on the right, and then this gets the most amount of force when you're shifting this way.
Oh.
We're about to use a Scotch-Brite attachment to take off all the undercoating where the welds are going to be. All right, now just watch your eyeballs.
Now you can have a better look at how that crack looks on here. Look at the size of that thing, dude. Wow, that is huge. So Josh, what is the main reason why this problem with E46 is so common?
The rear ends are, this metal here is super thin. It's not reinforced or anything. For some reason on the late model E46 M3 in the late 90s, they actually came with a reinforcement plate here for the rear subframe on the E36 M3. But when the E46 M3 came about, they decided they didn't want to do that for whatever reason, and here we have that problem, where all they had to do was put a reinforcement plate here so it's thicker, and we probably wouldn't have as many of these jobs to do here in the future.
So you're saying that they actually fixed the issue and then went back and then totally just rubbed it all off?
Yeah, it made no sense.
Hey, good job, BMW.
Yeah, it made no sense, but they did it.
When the subframe's already cracked, the first thing you gotta do is you want to weld up the cracked area. some light. So what's gonna happen is gonna end up welding up this entire crack, grinding it down to make it nice and flush, and then once that's nice and flush, you're gonna put this backing plate on it, and then you're gonna weld it there. This needs to be welded. If you just put this on right here, just like this, first, that's really improper, and in my opinion, I think eventually that crack still will start just spiding up more and more and more. So just do it right the first time to avoid future issues.
So I make an outline with the flathead, so I know exactly where the weld is going to be that welds the plate to the chassis, so I don't over grind off the undercoating. I'll just take the coating off right where the weld's going to be, as opposed to taking all of it off and then it being bare surface metal underneath the plate. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
That allows it to rust. So if you just kind of weld where you have to, still, or grind where you have to, all under this plate will still be undercoated. So it'll be protected from weather. So right now we just had the cracks in the subframe welded shut, as you can see here. But the plate isn't on, as you can see here. So here we had no cracks, nothing, no imperfections on the subframe, so the plate went on, as you see. This side we did have the cracks, we welded the crack first. We're gonna grind the weld flat, then put the plate over it, and go ahead and have the plate to reinforce the chassis. Same thing up here. This one's gonna get grinded down so we can put a plate over it like this one.
Alright, so they just finished painting up everything. It's making like everything look nice and clean. It's all nice and set. What's the next thing, Josh?
Putting up the gas tank right now. It's mounted up, put in the nut, bolt, plastic nut. And once the gas tank is up and welded, or not welded, but up and mounted again, then we can put the rear end back in. Once it dries.
So, just for those of you who wanna, it's a body shop, so I can't do too much about the noise. But for those of you who are curious about what type of bushings to use on your subframe, some people would say they would recommend OEM. Oh, you can't beat OEM, honestly. But now here's the thing, here's the downside of OEM. The way that they're made is that not only would you have to press them out, which is a pain and a ball, you know, is when you put them back in, you have to press them back in. So it's just a very tedious job, and that's why a lot of people, they prefer to go to like polyurethane. Now the difference between these is that it's like a sandwich. It's two pieces. It comes from the top and from the bottom, so it's a lot easier to install. That's the most, I honestly think that's the most best thing about using aftermarket bushings. If you want to use OEM, that's fine, but yeah, for the most part, way to go. Now they sell these bushings in different types of materials, from almost OEM feel, which is soft or compound, to like aluminum, to extreme hard compound, which is not advisable at all for street cars. And I would suggest you never to put aluminum bushings, anything like that, into a street car, because it'll put additional strain on the vehicle itself, and it'll make the ride very difficult. So don't use aluminum unless it's a purposely track built race car. Use OEM or polyurethane. Best way to go. so subframe's already installed. You see all the bushings are changed out. Put some light on here for you. All polyurethane bushings for the subframe. Polys for the control arms, as well as for the differential. Welcome back. So Josh is already done doing the rear subframe here. He has all the bushings installed. That's gonna be it for the rest of today. The next stop is the vanels. So if you haven't already, make sure you do subscribe and leave a big like on this video, and I'll catch you back on the next one. Peace.